The pioneer trek was really the first time that this area was being seen by new settlers.
They knew that there was water on Pilot Peak, so their navigation point was actually Pilot Peak.
You can see it from clear across out on the flat.
And when they reached the Pilot Peak mountain, they were able to get the water that they were so desperately in need of.
There was really no way they settled. They stopped for enough water and on they moved.
The railroad came through as they were connecting east to west.
They chose the route due to its geography and the ability to lay flat track.
At the end of the salt flats, they had to have something for the engines to replenish the water.
Pilot Peak played an important role in that the railroad tapped into the water springs on Pilot.
They built a pipeline to Wendover, and that's really when Wendover was established.
And it was a railroad community for an awfully long time.
Early in the 1900s, they ran one of the first telephone lines through Nevada here.
The point of connection from West Coast to East Coast occurred in Wendover. Then Alexander Graham Bell made the first phone call.
And there's a monument still in place. It's one of the original telephone poles as part of the Wendover history.
The Victory Highway was built across the salt flats from Salt Lake City to Wendover and then westward beyond Wendover.
As travelers came across the salt flats, Wendover became the oasis in the desert.
The only thing around here.
And that drove early development of Wendover as a stopping point for traffic on the Victory Highway and US Highway 40.
That was when tourism really started to come through.
You know, it was quite a venture to go 100 miles across the middle of nowhere. They'd stop in Wendover and make sure the car was in shape.
There was just a little building there with a little service station.
People started stopping here more. The state line started expanding. He put a light out in front of it.
So you could see the light from across the flats as you were driving across. And so travelers would say they can see the light, they know that they're on the right path.
Wendover, gambling comes up and Wendover gets the first roulette wheel license in the whole state of Nevada.
The state line was the only facility that you could go and get a drink and a meal and do some gaming and get a hotel room.
That's what really began to spur the development of this little oasis.
In the 20s is when they started racing out here at the Bonneville salt flats.
The Blitz and Benz did the first attempted world record out here. Does a mile, breaks a record, and thus got in the minds of the people that here's somewhere where we can actually go fast.
It was open, vast environment, hard.
The track was a black line laid in the salt.
So the driver could actually visualize where they were supposed to steer.
You know, it developed into a great racetrack that nature makes.
Over the years, there have been many speed records that have been broken.
Wendover was the place where people would stay, where they would work on their cars, where they had fuel stations.
It just kept building and building over the years.
Bonneville became the holy grail, and that's why it became world renowned.
People from all over the world come here to race. You know, that's the dream of a hot rodder in every country in the world, is to be able to go to Bonneville. I think it exposed the world basically to this area.
Now, Speed Week is 600 cars, brings in 10,000 spectators.
It's a week long of racing.
It has developed tourism-wise, it's known worldwide.
Everyone that comes out to salt flats and race, they stay in our community, in our hotels, and in our casinos.
It's really been beneficial for the community, being that it's only 4 miles outside of town.
Well, in 1939, Congress purchased 1.8 million acres in the Wendover area, and we're starting to move towards this as being a training base. Well, after December 7th, 1941, then the building blitz at Wendover just started in earnest. It went from 0 buildings to 668 buildings by the end of the war. Wendover was a town of 103 people. A real culture shock for those people to go from 103 to, at its very peak at the end of 43, 17,000 military and 2,500 civilians. Primarily commercial contractors were just throwing these buildings up as fast as they could, just row after row of barracks. This is where they trained together and then would go overseas. It was a beehive of activity.
So it had a huge impact.
When they were off duty, they certainly had a great opportunity to come to the casino.
All these young guys, 18 years old, that actually sprung the tourism to a new level in Wendover.
The community really started to see growth.
Stores and shops and things, and housing.
The military chose Wendover as the site to train the secret 509th Composite Group, which was to deliver the atomic bomb. They needed a place that would be secret, that would not be out in the open. Wendover was an ideal place. Nobody in the 509th Group, with the exception of Paul Tibbets, really knew what was going on. Paul Tibbets put up a sign that said, "What you hear here, what you see here, when you leave here, let it stay here." There were 400 FBI agents assigned to Wendover to watch over these guys, all just extremely tight security. So the name Enola Gay actually came on the island of Tinian the day before they were to fly the mission. Enola Gay was his mother's name. Everything was in a position, and the atomic bomb really shocked the Japanese into saying, "We're going to surrender." So Wendover really had a key role in ending that war. After the war was over, nobody had lived in Wendover. There was nothing here. Everybody went home to their home, and there was nothing left in Wendover except 668 empty buildings. Today, there are just over 90 of the original structures left. In 2000, we started a nonprofit foundation to bring private and grant money in to help restore the airfield. So today we have a small museum. We have 6 of the original 7 hangars, control tower, dining hall. It's the only Manhattan Project site that really has full access by the public. The 509th Composite Group is having what will probably be the final reunion here at Wendover, as kind of a final tribute to the effort that they put through to help bring the war to a close.
Currently, we have a fully functional airport.
Wendover Airport carries on that feeling of the airbase.
It's a new atmosphere, new terminal.
We have a casino junket fly-in program where they bring in passengers every day from various locations across the United States.
We're now bringing about 55,000 people a year into Wendover.
After the airbase closed, that was something that had to have been felt by the community.
You have now a refocus of what Wendover is going to be economically.
That's when they really focused on finding ways to bring tourists to the community.
And so the light on top of the pole, that's replaced by Wendover Will.
Just a big cowboy all lit up at night. You could see it for miles out of town.
It was like a beacon for people traveling at night.
One arm was pointed toward the State Line Casino, the other one was waving to people to come on in.
For a lot of people, the West really did begin as you crossed the border into Nevada.
He was always a representative on the napkins. He was on the coasters.
So in 2001 timeframe, when the State Line Hotel Casino was sold, Wendover Will, largest mechanical neon cowboy, didn't fit their marketing.
And we, as the city, had many people ask, "Where's Wendover Will?"
The community of West Wendover, we re-erected him.
There was a big dedication, and everybody came out.
He has been our landmark for so many years.
Wendover Will was an icon in the past, and he is now still an icon in the present.
But it's going to be an icon for Wendover probably forever.
A lot of people were like, really, you're going to do that? But once he was up, you don't mess with Wendover Will now. The community saw a boom in tourism where new facilities were built, new hotels, casinos were built.
The big casinos have come in and made it a destination, made it an attractive place to be.
People that haven't been here before that come here are surprised that these are Las Vegas-style casinos.
Little Wendover has all the amenities. You have fine dining, a $20 million concert hall. You have a championship golf course.
The atmosphere inside the casinos, it entices people to come out here.
Greater Salt Lake Valley is almost 3 million people. They love to come to Wendover.
Our visitor volume for West Wendover is roughly a little over 4 million people a year come into the community.
Wendover does bring millions of dollars in every week.
And certainly we still continue to be that oasis in the desert.
July 1st, 1991, West Wendover incorporated as a new city in the state of Nevada. Our motto is, "Come grow with us."
Since West Wendover became a city, they have been more progressive than probably any little city in Nevada.
I mean, our casinos have grown, our community's grown. If you look at it now, it just keeps going to the west.
We have had a vision, and we've been pursuing that vision over these decades. So we're always looking 50 years ahead to see what the community will look like in that vision.
Currently, we are building a new school. It's a new elementary school. It will house 650 elementary students.
A new road to it so that it won't be congested in a residential area.
We have a new public works facility.
We have houses that are being built,
Well, we recently approved a Amtrak train station to be here.
which will be another avenue for tourists to come to the community.
Now we have a new entry into the community, and that's gold.
It's a huge gold deposit.
It's going to have an employment impact, an economic impact on the community.
We're going to get another diverse group of people in that helps stabilizes your community.
We have a lot of growth coming. We have a lot of the infrastructure in place. It's really only a matter of time.
It will be better. It will be bigger.
Who would have thought that Wendover would have grown into a place that it is now?
Wendover is a success story, and it's going to continue to be a success story.